Hey everyone, Harry here. Welcome back to RVM, where headlines meet homes. So, we all know the Feds just cut rates and mortgage rates are sliding. But let's add one more catalyst. The Trump administration is considering declaring a national emergency. Yeah, you heard that right. Stick with me because this directly hits millennials and Gen Zs who are still stuck on the sidelines. The Fed lowered the Fed funds rate by a quarter point, putting the target range between 4 and 4.25%. That shift was driven by a cooling labor market and risk to employment. When the Fed cuts, mortgage rates don't always fall instantly, but this time we're seeing real movement. The average 30-year fixed rate has dropped into the mid-6, hitting about 6.25% in the latest Freddie Mac survey, the lowest since early October of last year. Meanwhile, inflation is off its peak, but still sticky. The latest CPI shows prices up at about almost 3% year over year, and unemployment is around 4.3%, with only about 22,000 jobs that were added back in August. That's a noticeable cool down. Now, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the White House is weighing a national housing emergency declaration to deal with high costs and low inventory, possibly sometime in the fall. That isn't normal policy talk. That's the language of break glass measures. So look, if you're a millennial or Gen Z, why should you care? Because even with lower rates, you can't finance what doesn't exist. The real barrier is supply, not enough homes where people want to live. Harvard's latest State of the Nation's housing report says high prices plus tight supply have pushed home sales to decades-low levels and cost burdens are rising. Let's cut through the noise. If a national housing emergency is declared, what could it do? Faster permitting, easier standardization, incentives to get more homes built, potentially steps to reduce certain building costs. But, and this is huge, the federal government still can't snap its fingers and obliterate local rules. Even Bessent hinted they don't want to step into the business of states and cities. Translation, local governments hold the keys. And as a former elected city council member with 2 terms and 8 years of experience, he's exactly right about that. So here's the real battle line: pro-development versus anti-development cities. In pro-development cities, when they open the zoning, allow more units, near transit corridors, or reduce minimum lot sizes, supply can grow, and over time, pressure on rents and prices eases. In anti-development cities, though, you got lot sizes and height caps, parking mandates, you got slow walk permits that strangle supply, and national groups estimate the US is short by almost 4 million homes, and that shortage is spreading suburban and beyond. If your city blocks new homes, you pay through higher rents, bigger commutes, and priced out smarter homes. So here's a reality check. Lower mortgage rates can spark more buyers, but if listings don't rise, prices can get sticky or even push higher. That's why supply, not just cheaper money, is the ballgame. Let me give you the appraiser's take from the field. When rates dip, I see pent-up buyers resurface. That increases competition, especially for clean entry-level homes. Then you have the lock-in effect. Remember those owners that are sitting on 3% loans? And I'm one of them, by the way. Yeah, that's real. Rate cuts may coax some to list their property on the market, but most won't move without more new build options to trade into. So what does a national housing emergency signal to you? It's a message, and that's all it is. That supply is a national priority, but your city council and county boards still control zoning, permit speed, and whether a duplex, townhome, or missing middle project ever get built in your street. Now listen up. For all you millennials and Gen Zs, here's your playbook, and I want you to take this seriously. Show up. City Hall hearings decide whether homes for you even get a vote. If only retirees and already housed neighbors show up, guess who wins? Back pro-housing candidates. Ask about permitting reforms, minimum lot sizes, accessory dwelling units, and, by right, approvals for infill. Push for transit-oriented upzoning. More homes near jobs plus transit equals lower lifetime housing plus transport costs. Demand predictable, fast permitting delays, which equals higher costs, built into your final price. Support missing middle types like duplexes, fourplexes, townhouses. This is what I call diversity of housing. It's not all towers versus sprawl. There's a huge middle that you can actually afford. Lastly, stay data driven. When someone pushes back, ask for evidence. Okay, what should buyers do right now? Well, first of all, you can get pre-approved and watch the rates. If mortgage rates continue drifting lower with the Fed's easing bias, you'll want your file ready. Widen your geography to pro-development areas. Look for jurisdictions pushing infill and speeding up permits. That's where starter inventory emerges first. Track local agendas. When your city votes on a housing element, like ADU rules or parking minimum, that's your shot. If you're 12 to 24 months out, follow Builders Pipeline. Lots under development today are your listings tomorrow. And sellers, quick note, if you're thinking of listing, this mini window of declining rates plus scarce inventory can be a sweet spot. Just price realistically. Appraisals must match market evidence. Again, not financial advice, talk to your professional. National talk matters. Fed cuts, possible emergency declaration, but your housing future is still decided on Tuesday nights at City Hall. If you want a home that you can afford, you've got to vote, testify, and demand pro-housing rules. This is your generation's fight. If this helped, smash that like button, drop a comment with your city and what your council is doing on housing, and share this with a friend who's house hunting. And of course, subscribe for more appraisal level breakdowns every week. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you in the next video.